Well, hello there, my little darlings, and welcome back to another little episode of Warframes. And today, as you can see on the screen, we are taking a look at Xaku Prime. And this was released on the 13th of November, depending on when you watch this. And I have been working my little coffee barbarian socks off to bring this episode ASAP. So if you could see your way kindly of giving me a like, a comment, a sub, any of those things, all three, you get a gold star, then I will love you forever. Okay, maybe just for the duration of this video, but I mean, if you join the Discord, it might be forever. Okay. Anyway, we're going to have a look at where to get Xaku Prime, how I got him, building, modding, having a go, looking at the abilities, see what we think. I kind of like Xaku, but I never used him much. And I did get a little help from somebody who joined my Discord. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So, as I mentioned, Xaku Prime Access was released on the 13th of November as a sort of Kume hotfix. It wasn't like an official update. And with Xaku Prime, they released the Trumna Prime and the Quassus Prime. Now, all of these things, the originals, can be found at the Necrolisk once you've started ranking up with the Entrati family. And apparently the Trumna wasn't always a signature weapon of Xaku, but they've somehow crowbarred that in, which is fair enough. And as you can see, they released a few other goodies, but that's with the access that you'd have to pay real money for, which I didn't do that. But we'll get into how I actually acquired my blueprints. But we also want to take a look at the void relics that you're going to need if you want to go and farm Xaku. And I realise as I'm editing this that I've already referred to Xaku as a him, but it could be a her, it could be a they. I'm not sure. No offence meant. Please don't take any. Anyway, I wanted to show you my downloading screen because once I've downloaded a hotfix or an update, I always go and optimise my cache. So it's the little circle on the top right there. I click on it and I verify or optimise my cache. And it took a while actually, so I needed to do it. And basically it just tidies up all your files and helps your game run a little better. So, you know, maybe try that once in a while if you're on PC, that is. And once I'm back in game after the update, I go to my codex, I go to universe, I go to the bottom right there for Arcanes and Relics, and then I type in the thing that I'm looking for. The new thing is Xaku at this point, and it brought up the 4 different relics that we're going to need to look for to get our Xaku Prime parts. Now, obviously, there is the Trumna Prime and the Quassus Prime, and I did look into those, but they are not my priority right now, but I will go into those maybe in a different episode if they're any good. But this is where you would come to find which relics you need and make a note of them. Now, you have this massive long list with these relics. If you've opened up the nodes, you've played those nodes on your star chart, they will be available here. Otherwise, they'll just be question marks. So you've got all these, there's so many places you can go. Drop sources within the game to get these relics to drop, but there is the main thing that I used, which I will show you. I got tactical with it this time. However, if I was going to farm the relics doing missions, I would go to the void. I would do Hepit, Teshub, Oxymoko and Ukko on the void for most of those Meso and Neo relics, and for the Axii relics, I would go to Lua, Apollo, Disruption. And it's as simple as that. You don't really need to worry about all the other nodes. You'll pick them up as you go through the game anyway. But if you're farming, that's where I would go. Now, there are other ways of getting your hands on Xaku Prime. You could buy the varying access packs from the game for actual cash. This is the UK price. I don't know what it converts to in your country. I feel like that's a lot of money for me personally. Or you can buy Xaku Prime sets from other players who've done the grinding for you. Now, please refer back to my trading for platinum video that I did very recently, with this in mind of doing some trading here and there of other things in the game to make a bit of plat, so that when this stuff happens, if you're struggling to get the pieces you need or the set that you need, you can keep an eye on that trade chat and see if you can find yourself a bargain. And I actually did find myself a bargain after doing a small amount of grinding. Obviously, time is a constraint for me being a content creator, so I don't expect you to do what I did. However, I'm going to show you what I did to actually get my hands on the relics, and it involves standing with all the different syndicates across the game. So I'm just going to briefly go over that because that's something to keep an eye on for future Prime releases. If you want to get a load of relics, you can buy relic packs. So you may or may not know that all the syndicates sell relic packs, not just the ones that you're affiliated with, the ones that you access via your orbiter and that you can find on relays, but things like the Ostrons at Cetus, If you go to Fortuna, you can rank up and use standing to buy relic packs there, and it's the same on the Necrolisk. So at Cetus, you can buy relic packs from Old Man Sumbat. Now, I did some mining at Cetus to get my standing up, but I also did bounties, and I have a daily standing cap of 32,500. And I'm top ranked with everything, so I can cap out 132,000. Now, the relic packs are 20,000 standing across the game, no matter where you go. It's just standing with that specific syndicate. So, leading up to Xaku Prime, Trumna Prime, and Quassus Prime dropping, I spent a little time, not as much as I could have, coming to these various syndicate areas like Cetus, Fortuna, the Necrolisk, and ranking up the standing as much as I could before the hotfix. And I also went and did some Steel Path missions, because once you've unlocked Steel Path and you have access to Teshin, if you go to his Steel Path honors, he also sells relic packs for 15 steel essence. So as for the syndicates in my orbiter, I am ranked up with the Arbiters of Hexus and Cephalon Suda, and I managed to get quite a few relics just from these two syndicates, all in across all of the syndicates, and I could have done better if I'd have ground out more standing, because I just ran out of time. I managed to buy 30 of these relic packs, and obviously sometimes you get Aya, and sometimes you'll get the relics you want and sometimes you won't. Now, the one relic that wouldn't drop out of these 30 relic packs that I bought with standing across the game was the Axie A19. This is the rare one, I guess, from Lure Apollo. Now, when I spoke to other players who had done a very similar tactic to myself as buying all these relic packs, they also found that the Axie A19 didn't seem to be in the pool anywhere. I know, but I got at least one of all of the other relics across Xaku, the Trumna, and the Quassus, and I'm going to go ahead and assume the Quassus because it's a fan bladed weapon. It's going to need 2 handles and 2 blades. And because I felt the pressure stacking, I ended up going and doing the Lure Apollo mission, the disruption, for a few different sessions, a few different rounds, and I managed to actually get my hands on 3, maybe 4 Axie A19s from those sessions. And then I went and did an Axie Relic run, and it literally popped. Now, the Axie Relic run I did, I went to the recruitment chat in the game, and people were doing host, so they put H, and then in brackets they'll put the name of the relic, so you know whether you can click on it and know whether you've got that relic or not, but they'll say rad, which means they want it radianted, and they're looking for 3 more people to join their squad. And that's what I did, and we literally did a very quick capture on Earth, a void relic mission for the Axie, and it dropped. We got the main Xaku blueprint, but after that my luck ran dry. So I still have some of those relics sat there, especially for the Trumna and the Quassus, but I decided to get into the trade chat now. Xaku Prime parts weren't showing on Warframe Market, which is where I would usually go to find the price of something. I don't know if it's because it literally had just dropped and they haven't updated it. So I went to the in-game trade chat and I just sat and watched it for a bit, and it was pure chaos. So I just bode my time, and I was seeing Xaku Prime sets going for anything between 200 to 400 plat, or they were at least up for sale for that price. I don't know realistically what they're being sold for, but then I saw some little post just saying I want to sell it for 190 plat, so I messaged that person. I managed to find them. The chat was so like zoomy that I had to scroll back away, and they hadn't sold it. I'm guessing other people had missed their tiny little post, but I got in there, so I feel like I got kind of a bargain. I was willing to spend 2 to 250 and I got it for 190, and this is purely because of my previous trading. Again, go and check out my trading so we can buy our drip video. You know, just a little bit of trading here and there, it stacks up eventually, and then you can I don't know, treat yourself. And because I have less time than I'd like, then I have fast forwarded a little bit so I can just bring you Xaku Prime, and I want to show you a build that somebody gave me in game and has joined the Discord, and it's really good actually. And once you got all your shiny new parts away to your foundry, and you're going to need to build those component parts. Much like any other Warframe, you've got your optics, your chassis and your systems, and they cost 15,000 credits and they take 12 hours, and it's 25 plat to rush them if you're impatient like I am. And then for the main blueprint, once those 3 component blueprints are built, it's going to take 3 days, 72 hours plus 25,000 credits, and it's 50 plat to rush that if you're impatient, a bit like myself. Now, the special things you're probably going to need for those components are 2 nitane and 2 tellurium for the chassis, 3 sensors, neural sensors for the neuroptics, and 2 argon crystals for the systems. I had to go and get those 2 argon crystals because, as you know, argon crystals decay and disappear out of your inventory because the devs are mean. Okay, fine, they're not mean, they just love to see us grind. Anyway, once your Warframe is built, you need to claim it from your foundry, and oh, here it is in all its glory. What a beautiful skin. For a base Prime skin, I really do like this. Now, to claim your Warframe, you're going to need a Warframe slot, so if you don't have any, feel free to helmet some of your original Warframes. If you've got the original version and a Prime version, get rid of the original into your helmet. That's very useful, that frees up a Warframe slot. Or you can sell your Warframes for credits from your foundry, from your inventory. I don't recommend that at all. Or you can buy yourself Warframe slots for, I think they're like 20 plat each. A little bit of trading goes a long way for these kind of slots and things that you're going to need to, you know, fill that inventory literally till it's bursting at the seams with all this glorious goodness. Look at it. Beautiful. Tiny bit of different colour going on there. I love this skin. It's really nice. Very intratty, very delicious. Love it. Now, I'm not going to bore you with my Xaku ranking up. I wasn't really sure how to mod this Warframe. Not a Xaku expert. However, I got really, really lucky in the process of ranking up my Xaku Prime. I bumped into a Xaku Prime or a Xaku main player, and that delightful, lovely person decided to pop onto my Discord and give me some guidance. So before we go to the abilities, I just want to say thank you to Theo/Raylo. He didn't want to shout out, but it's tough, you've got it. It was literally invaluable what you gave me, because from my original mods that I was putting in while I was forming Xaku up to the mod configuration this person gave me, it was a massive difference in gameplay, like quality. I started to actually really enjoy Xaku and sort of start to understand the ability. So we're going to go over it a little bit now. I'm going to try to relay that information that this person gave me the best I can. Okay, let's look at the abilities briefly. So the passive is 25% damage reduction on AoE. So it basically reduces damage incoming. And when you pop your 4th ability, the Vast Untime, it increases to 75% reduction. The first ability, Zarta's Whisper, wield void damage for all attacks from equipped weapons when activated. And our lovely friend Theo described this as mini mag bubbles that are quite nice. Which really made me laugh. And the second ability, the Grasp of Loke, void tendrils steal weapons from nearby enemies, and you have your own floating armament around you. Damage output increases based on enemy level. The number of weapons grabbed also determines the damage multiplier of the Lost Denies Void Beam, which is the third ability. And there are 3 sub-abilities within that. And it scales with both range and strength. So high range and high strength builds are needed to get the most out of it. That is according to our lovely Theo. And the augment mod for this ability is Vampiric Grasp, which you can buy, I think, for 25 standing from Cephalon Suda and Steel Meridian Syndicates. And it's basically when a stolen weapon deals damage to an enemy affected by your 3rd ability with its sub-ability Gaze, or the Vast Untime, which is your 4th ability, Xaku heals by 25. So this heals your Xaku as you go through the mission. How useful is that? And this 3rd ability is divvied down into 3 sub-abilities. So you've got Accuse, which basically turns your enemies into lovers. No, it turns them into allies, like thralls, essentially, that fight with you. And it doesn't take a huge amount of energy. And then you've got Gaze, which is the bread and butter of this 3rd ability. It's the armor and shield stripper. But you need 200% strength to your ability strength to make sure it fully strips targets, just so you know. And it's more useful to deploy it next to a defense target because it's sort of like a big static circle. And Deny is not really good for most gameplay, apparently, but it can be used on certain enemies like bosses and liches, and it kind of stuns and locks them into place. And when we look at the 4th ability, the Vast Untime, the Vast Untime actually pauses all of your other abilities, so you can snub enemies from attacking you using Deny. So fiddling around with these 3 in gameplay was kind of interesting, finding out what they actually bring to you benefit-wise. And the armor stripping obviously is going to be useful, but like I said, it's static. It doesn't move around with you. It's just wherever you deploy it. And this also has an augment. There are 2 augment mods for Xaku's abilities, and this one is the Relentless Lost. Again, this is available from Cephalon Pseudo and Steel Meridian, and it's the Lost Augment. So the Lost gains 35% ability strength and 15% ability efficiency when cast. The effect stacks up to 3 times, and casting the same ability back to back resets the effect. So there you go. I haven't actually used that in any of my builds yet. I say builds. I had 2 mod configurations. Let's not carried away, Coffee. Let's not lie to the people at home. And on to the final ability, the 4th ability, the Vast Untime. I like this one because when you pop it, Xaku's outer shell pops off and you run around like a little glowy skeleton. So basically it temporarily sheds the outer pieces of Xaku in a destructive blast, then stalks the battlefield in a new swifter skeletal form. Enemies damaged by the body shrapnel are rendered weaker to void damage. And Xaku's other active abilities duration is frozen in time and resumes once the Vast Untime expires. So you pop your other abilities, pop this one, and everything pauses. There's no drain, nothing. It's amazing, and you just repop this and keep everything as popped as you can. I use the word pop a lot, but I was very excited. So Theo, in his advice to me, said that casting 4 is usually a must to begin with in low efficiency builds. He usually has duration on for the sake of low energy environments, but if you have a better sustain, duration isn't necessary. 4 is good at slowing enemies, so you basically spam this ability the most. You'll cast it a lot, because you can cast all the others once, cast this one and pause all the others until this one runs out, and then keep popping it. And I'll show you. I got the hang of it eventually, and it was amazing. And Xaku is unique because Xaku is the only Warframe that deals void damage. So Xaku is really good at taking on sentients and making them very, very weak. The only sentient that Xaku isn't good against are Eidolons, I believe. So here we have one of our first builds that Theo gave us. Now this isn't his complete build. There's things I couldn't get in because I haven't formed it up enough. And the aura slot is that polarity, the line, I can't remember what it's called. So I've had to put an aura former in to get steel charge in. But at the moment we've got 168% strength. So that basically won't give you the full armor strip using the 3rd ability, you see. So we want all 3 Umbral mods in for his build. And we don't need augmented in here. He recommended Arcane steadfast, this Arcane, which I happen to not have any of. I know, so I've got to go off and find some of those. So this was the first build, and this actually was a massive improvement on the build that I had, and the range was okay, the duration was okay, but I ended up doing, as you can see, the steel charge 200 build eventually. But what you're going to see next is me using this build right here. And you may have noticed there a 1 next to Xaku's name. As I was editing and recording this video, I was desperately trying to rank this Warframe up and put in like different builds and trial different things, but obviously time permitting. So I came to Lure Circulus, the Omnia Fissure. I freaking love it here. It's one of my favorite mission nodes. It's just mindless murder. If you've got the right Warframe and weapons, you can just go around killing everything and having a whale of a time. Now I'm going to show you the order of operations that I was using for Xaku's abilities in the Simulacrum, just in case you're wondering or you have no clue. And if you are a Xaku main and you don't like this build that I'm working towards, or the next build that I show you, don't stress, okay? Just put your suggestions in the comments and we will definitely try them. All right, everybody's builds kind of suit their own gameplay style, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There is always a meta way of doing things, and I don't know if you know this about this channel, but I am not a meta player. Oh yes, I all heard you in unison go, oh yes, Coffee, we know, we're aware. However, I do get a lot of positive feedback from newer players who feel like this game is more approachable when you have a YouTube content creator saying, oh hey, yeah, no, I just died. Did you see that? Xaku went down like a sack of spuds when the Thrax Centurion thingies popped up. So that was my cue to leave, and that I haven't quite got this build right or my gameplay style right. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to die. I mean, a little bit, but you know, it happens. And I want people to feel like they can approach this channel and the Discord and not feel like we're all about the red crit and the do or die, you know? So here I am at the Simulacrum. Now, I was testing it out for myself, not just for you as viewers, because I wasn't really sure about the order of operations, even though I had a lot of very helpful hints and tips from Theo. So the Vast Untime is the ability that pauses all of your other abilities, and obviously your shrapnel from your outer armor goes flying off and also damages enemies. So I popped my first ability to show you it counting down, and then as soon as I popped Vast Untime, it paused it. So as long as Vast Untime is running, all of your other abilities that you've popped are paused. So they don't run down. They only run down once Vast Untime has stopped running, which again, you can keep popping it, and there may be a couple of seconds in between. So as you can see, I popped Grasp of Loke, the second ability, and it's whipped all their guns off them, and now I have like damage boosts from these extra guns. And I was just trying to figure out with the third ability, these sub-abilities. So we've ran Accuse, and it's kind of failed because I killed everything. So Accuse basically gives you thralls, it gives you allies. But those allies still count as enemies on the map, even though they've turned blue and they're no longer red on the mini-map. If you're on a defense like Sedna Hydrant and you still had your thralls alive, as you can see, they're sort of glowing purple from their heads, and I'm killing them without realising what I'm doing. It counts it as like an enemy is still alive, so it won't end the wave. I realised that the hard way when I was trying to rank up. So then I was trying to figure out between gaze and deny, that the actual animation, because I was getting them muddled up in my head. That is gaze. This one here that's got the tendrils around the enemy. So I thought it was just impacting this one enemy, but it's actually an armor stripper, and it's classed as the bread and butter of his third abilities, these sub abilities, because like I said, with corrosive projection and 160-ish% ability strength, you'll get the full armor strip. But if you've got 200 plus ability strength, you don't need corrosive projection as your aura mod. You can put something else in there like steel charge if you've formed up your aura slot, obviously, because it's set to a polarity. Now, with deny, I wasn't really sure because Theo and other people have said it's kind of like, it's a bit niche. It sort of stun locks the enemies. I think it, like, I've seen them raise up in the air, so it kind of stops them from attacking you because they're up in the air. And like I mentioned before, he said it was really good for like taking liches on because you can stun lock them into the air and they can't do anything. And the one thing I noticed on both the builds I used is that we didn't have primed flow or flow in there, so we didn't have a huge pool of energy. So you don't really need it with Xaku. If you're wise, you can put Arcanes in, like the Arcane Steadfast, that will potentially give you your next 3 ability pops free from energy use. That's so good because you should only really need to pop your Vast and Time and your other ones now and again as they run down. If you can't pop your Vast and Time quick enough, obviously they may run down to 0 and you have to redo them. But if you're wise and you're clever and you just keep an eye on it, you can keep that Vast and Time running pretty much constantly and not have to worry too much about the rest of them. It was just learning like the skill set and the order of operations and just trying to tweak it and get it right for the gameplay that you're going to need to do with Xaku. And it's kind of ideal for low energy environments. So another thing you can get really clever with is your Archon shards. If you've got them, you can put in Archon shards that regen your energy quicker, or you get more back from your energy balls that you pick up, or you know, your preparation with your amber Archon shards. And as you can see, I'm just stood here waiting for the thralls to run down. So this was Accuse, and as it ran down, they became my enemies again. So they were allies, just stood around waiting, and then they became my enemies. I loved it. I like the Simulacrum because it gives you that time to focus on what the abilities are actually doing, how they're interacting with each other, and how you want to play them. So there you go. This was me. I think popping Vast and Time first and then popping all the other ones is probably wise. But if you forget, don't worry about it. Just pop Vast and Time as soon as you can. It's just obviously it's the 4th ability and you need the higher amount of energy to pop it. But as you can see, we've only got a pool of 209 energy at this point. Again, I was ranking up, so it kept going up and down. And this was the higher strength build that I was working towards. Again, I haven't got the Arcane Steadfast in. And by the way, if you want Arcane Steadfast, you can get it from doing the Citrine Mirror Defense. I don't think it's available at the Mirror Defense at the Sanctum. Or you can buy it for the crystals that you get from doing that Mirror Defense from Otak at the Necrolisk. And you're going to need quite a few of them, obviously, to rank it. You need 21 to fully rank it. But this was the steel charge build. So at this point, I'd aura formed. As you can see, I've got 3 formers in now. I've put an umbral former in Xaku. I have got a few umbral formers laying about the place. Adaptation is still in there because this is like the bubble wrap feeling of, you know, you just want some protection. But I'm going to fiddle with it. I've still got config A I can fiddle with and do something in between the Theo build and the steel charge 200 build, which sounds really good, doesn't it? And if you've got any advice, please feel free to put it in the comments and just be kind with your comments, okay? Make good choices. So there you go, is a teeny tiny little overview for you for Xaku Prime. If you have no clue how to mod, how to use, you've never used Xaku or focused in on that Warframe before, feel free to leave any comments to see how you feel about Xaku. If you're a Xaku main, be kind, like I said in the comments, but feel free to give us some advice or just tell us how you use Xaku. That's probably better, because not everybody's going to want to play the game the same way, which I just seem to not be able to get through to some people's brain cells, but that's fine. Like, it's each to their own, and it is a game after all, and we should be having fun over here, okay? Not picking on each other for our, like, non-meta builds. Anyway, my darlings, if this helped you in any way, or you just enjoyed my stressed out dulcet tones because I'm desperately trying to get this video uploaded for you, please feel free to drop me a like, comment and or sub, and also feel free to come and join the Discord. The link is in my channel. And all that remains is to say thank you so much for joining me in this little Xaku Prime episode, which is almost half an hour long. I really do hope to see you again in the next one, no matter what it may be. But in the meantime, you take care now, and goodbye.